name's Joe Connell. I'm the founder and CEO of NeuEsse. And every entrepreneur who wants your money is going to revolutionize something. I'm not going to revolutionize anything. Let me tell you how vastly I can improve it and shake it up. We make a human skin substitute from soybeans. Now, if that didn't grab you, I'll tell you the science behind it. We strip pure nanoparticle protein out of soybeans and use an old textile manufacturing methodology called electrospinning, and we electrospin sheets of skin that go into the wound and never come back out, that give your body a scaffold. It rebuilds itself. It rebuilds itself quite nicely. So how did I get here? I've been working with it for 7 years. Licensed it from Drexel, did all the research, and I got a patent, which was US only. The claims were narrow, and it called for a caustic solvent to manufacture. The manufacturers walked away from me, and I gave it back. The same inventor went to Temple. It's now water soluble. I picked up 2 IPs. One is a portable blow spitter. We can spray skin onto patients at bedside, which is going to be a godsend for our war fighters and burn victims. And we picked up a 3D robotic printer so we can print non-flat skin. We can print noses and ears. And if I don't get into the USA Today with that, nobody can. We've completed animal studies. We've done a full thickness porcine model, and we have proven a full thickness wound was healed with intact hair follicles and sweat glands and minimal to no scar. And that's been published data. And if you have a large wound, your body's going to struggle and struggle and struggle for one thing, closure. And if it can't close, if it does close, eventually it'll be a big, thick, slick scar. We go in and put a protein patch in there, and we've proven 3 PhD students got their doctorate with this skin. We've proven revascularization of the wound bed for regenerative medicine. That's how you get the appendages of hair follicles, sweat glands, and it closes itself, and you don't have a scar. We've done an open wound model in a rodent where you keep the wound from closing, so that I can look at the histology inside there and see what's going on with the cascade of events that I'll show you a slide of. And we've done a head-to-head comparison with Smith & Klein, Smith & Nephew's product NeuEsse, and it was dramatically improved over what's on the market. So we have an experienced management team. I'd love to show you, and I will in a slide or two, but I've been in the industry for only 35 years. My white-haired partner has been 38 years. We've got 2 dermatologists who are the who's of beauty, and you know them. We have the president of the Wound Healing Society, Tom Serena. I don't know if he claims to be from Boston, Youngstown, or Pittsburgh, but he has 35 clinics, and he's quite the businessman, and he's in charge of all the wound clinics. We have an IP pipeline of 5 products that we're going to bring to market, and what we're going to do is file for a 510K device for an occlusive dressing, burns and wounds, and we have the data right now to do that. We're trying to put some dollars together for a CRO to do that submission package to the FDA. Once that product is approved for as a device 510K, we're going to put it into the hands of clinicians who are waiting for it to do the research for a full PMA for therapeutic indications, and then I can tell the world about the revascularization and biological effects. And until then, it's just an occlusive dressing so that we can get on the market and generate revenue for anyone who believes in me right now. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to seek $1 million. With that $1 million, we will have 2 FDA-approved products, 2 IRBs, and we'll start first-in-man trials in the next 9 months. And all in all, we have a 3-year program calling for $5.5 million. Hopefully, we're in the middle of writing a material transfer agreement with the Department of Defense. We hope that the Army gets this because they need it. I need them more than they need me, and it will be non-dilutive for anyone who gets in early. You got to ask yourself, anyone who knows this space, does the world need another skin substitute? The answer is no. And investors don't want to get into wound healing. It's not sexy. It's just a sea of sameness. Everything is the same. But I've been in skin substitutes. I took a company public. It's publicly traded now. And I know the space a little bit. And you can put skin substitutes in 3 categories: unavailable, unaffordable, and unacceptable. My product was both unavailable and unaffordable, so I know. Unavailable are those products that need decellularization of animal tissue. They need refrigeration, they need handling, or you take a biopsy like my product did, and you take it back to the laboratories at Lonza down in Maryland, and you grow it, you feed it from underneath, and in 12 weeks the patient might get their own skin back. But that patient would pay $500,000 for a burn treatment because it was $55 a square centimeter, and this is my memory. So, I have a readily available off-the-shelf protein patch that if we send it to Afghanistan and it's 115 degrees for 6 months, the skin doesn't care. There's no disintegration, degradation, expiration, half-life issues. It's a protein patch that we can make 500-meter rolls of, or we can package it, and better yet now, we can spray it right onto the warrior or the nursing home patient with a decubitus ulcer, bed sores. We can spray brand new skin, put that patient down, and not take them to the emergency room. So unavailable, preparation. Unaffordable, in 2014, the Medicare guidelines differentiated skin substitutes into high cost and low cost. Mine was high cost. The top 3 most expensive products were put out of the market. They just cost too much. Nobody can decellularize or prepare animal tissue cheaper than I can spin a soybean. Nobody. And we can put electro spinners in countries that we sublicense to. It can be regional, and we can put it where we need to cut down distribution costs. Let's talk about unacceptable. You know where skin substitutes come from? Pigs, cows, cadavers, foreskins, sheep intestines, and placental materials. We think with a plant-based skin that works better, costs less, we're going to open up a global market. Sharia, Halal, Muslim, Jewish, religions that don't want skin substitutes from those sources. So, unavailable, unaffordable, and unacceptable. That's the market. Not going to revolutionize it, but we have a lot to offer. My team is me. My partner in Philadelphia, Bruce Mullen, 38 years. The inventor of this product was at Drexel when he went to Temple. Peter Lelkish is a brilliant scientist. He works with us today. He invented it. He's our advisor. Thomas Serena, president of the Wound Healing Society. David Armstrong at UCLA is waiting for a supply of skin to do diabetic foot ulcer trials. He's the world's authority on those. Michael Gould down at Vanderbilt is the who's who of dermatology and aesthetics. Do I have a witness? Okay. Mitch Goldman was the plastic surgeon to the stars. If you want to go home and look at really old reruns of those breast augmentation, he's the star. But he's the world's authority on laser ablation. One of the things he has in mind is putting a protein patch on those same people you are talking about, because when you go home from paying cash to get your wrinkles removed, all you have is Aquaphor or Vaseline, a red face, and time. We think we can accelerate healing with a protein mask that they would take home as a post-laser ablation repair kit. A protein mask that's showered off the next day and replaced very inexpensively, and those are some of our plans. The market is vast. $35 billion for chronic wounds, $20 billion for bed sores, a couple $1 billion here and there for beauty. We're not going to take it all. But with greater efficacy, greater acceptability, and less costly, the margins are phenomenal, let's just say that. So we have a lot of market to try to capture. It's disruptive. It works better than what's on the market. Better closure and better aesthetic, more pleasing results after the wound is healed. We could regenerate the skin appendages. This, I don't want to talk about it too much, but the cross-infection of all those cadavers, porcine, bovine, mouse mirroring, no matter what you make a skin substitute in, there's a possibility of cross-infection from the animal source. This is an electrospun protein, so we eliminate that bioburden, cross-infection. We can manufacture rolls of skin that can be stored, cut into anatomically correct shapes, or we have the ability to spray it onto the patient at bedside. I'm a burn victim. If you have a burn to your bone and you have to skin graft to rebuild that, if you have 12 inches of an area that you have to build, you've got to harvest 12 inches from somewhere else in your body, which is another scar, another surgery, more pain. We can spray without touching that burn. And a burn victim doesn't want a nurse to touch it, a salve to touch it, or that bandage to touch it. Off the shelf available, no refrigeration, unit cost, orders of magnitude less expensive than anything on the market. So we did a clinical trial. This A, B, and C are Omega Skin, my product, and D, E, and F are the competition. You see in day 3, our epithelium was lined up and organized on the bottom. The Smith & Nephew product was disorganized because all they do is cover it up. Day 7, you saw the hair follicles and sweat glands in section B. You don't see anything in E because all they do is cover it up. And on day 7, we caused collagen reproduction in that wound bed because there are biological effects of putting the mesh in there and helping the body rebuild itself. Here's my competition. You got foreskins, amnio tissues, placenta, foreskins, and pain cells. So we are at that crossroads of high efficacy and low cost. And we know the market's crowded. And we know it's hard for you to imagine investing in wound healing, but we also have the dermatology for Mohs surgery, biopsies, post-laser ablation, nevus removal, and everything else we haven't discovered yet, because my blocking and tackling is to get the product ready for wound healing. But forward-looking statements, there's a lot of applicability to a skin with this. We've got a patent portfolio that's very strong. It's we're represented by Riverside in Philadelphia through Temple, and we've got a patent on the skin. We've got a patent on the skin second generation with porous gradients. I won't bore you because you're investors, not scientists. But we have 2 skin patents, a portable blow spinner that has already applied other people's products. We've done chitosan, hyaluronic acid, so we can spray hyaluronic acid in every dermatologist's examination room to remove wrinkles, or we can spray skin on their faces to heal after the laser took care of it. And we have the 3D robotic printer to print noses and ears. So we've published the data. We have the data necessary right now to apply for 510K approval. We've talked to the FDA. We have their permission to use all the data that I generated at Drexel and that we have generated at Temple. The clinical data experience, then we'll go to the PMA, which is our second indication. It's going to be indicated for burns, wounds, venous ulcers, bed sores, dermatology, and aesthetic beauty. The portable blow spinner could be a revenue generator if we do the joint venture with another company to spray their topical ointments, to spray other people's therapeutics. It's a possibility for another generator. It's scalable. It's now water soluble. Electrospinning can be manned. A bank of electrospinners with one person. It doesn't need to be maintained. It doesn't need to be in a clean room manufacturer, which is easy because we can gamma irradiate and package it at the end of the process. We have plans for a subsidiary in Ireland that we intend to open up to apply for NHS, single party payer system, and distribution in England and through the European Union. Regional operations, we have the ability in our license to subcontract by country. And we've talked to a lot of people with Bio in Philadelphia this year. The Italians are out front, but South Africa has all of their skin from cell banking. They bank human skin, but they have an over amount of HIV, and they're very interested in another source of skin to go, because they have a lot of mining accidents and an overwhelming amount of burns in South Africa. Not that you're interested, but what we're going to do is modify we have the portable blow spinner. It's got to be more robust, but I do have the prototype over at our table at the cocktail party. It's got to be more robust so that a paramedic in the military can't smash it. We're in a design firm in Conshohocken looking at that right now. But the FDA submission should be within 2 months after someone invests in us. The IRB clinical trials start first in man at several institutions. The soft launch is in 9 months. We get the generated revenue from that, and we expand into clinical trials in humans for the PMA. We file that PMA in a year and a half. We have expectations of revenue of $125 million by year 5. Somebody has got to see how badly we're beating their product and buy us out in an auction. And with multiples that we're seeing now at 125, should be a pretty big payday. The seed round, we're looking for the $1 million, like I say. Here's what we need to start. We get 2 FDA approvals and first in man clinical trials, and then we do tranches of $1.5 million, $1.5 million. I'm looking forward to seeing what the military will pay for so that we don't have to raise this amount of money from investors. But then we exit through liquidity, skin substitute. This can be reduced down into a wound bed gel. It's the exact same pathway that Integra Life Science is taking in every product they have. I have, except ours is plant-based, theirs is animal-based. So we got the management team, we got the players, we've got the developmental timeline. The payoff and liquidity event should be very rich. And that's us, NeuEsse. Thank you.
Joe's a smart entrepreneur. He stood in front of the traffic lights. So, after I saw you in 20 minutes, I was going to do the same.
So we'll turn our first question to the panel. Elizabeth?
Sure. I mean, if you were on, I'm managing director of Delaware Cross Investor Group, and was also a member of that group, best angel group in Bucks County. Of course, we have invested in a couple of... Oh, yeah. You're getting a prize today. Well, and we've invested in a couple of companies in this sector, so just wanted to for sure. But we would have cut you off. So, and everybody, they're very much stricter at timing. My question, though, is, so the IP, say your inventors from Temple, who owns the patents? Temple or you guys?
Temple, we have exclusive worldwide license.
So that's all set?
Yes.
Great. Your turn.
Yeah. I'm just very happy to see a management team that's already got so much skin in the game. Yeah, you know, and I love what you're doing here. I'm just kind of curious with the kind of impact you can have on the military and you know, veterans and battle. And why isn't the government all over you? What have you done with NIH funding and grants and so forth? It seems like a lot.
I've knocked on 7 doors. Obviously, I don't have the right one yet because the military has now left their paradigm of getting a soldier evacuated within 72 hours, and they're keeping him in the field. So I just went to Brooke Army Medical, got my government clearance, security clearance, and investigated. I think I met my pig. I think they have a vivarium. They have everything I want, including money and then the inpatient. My last company got $18.5 million for an Affirm grant, and after I left the company 5 years later, they didn't have a protocol together. But the military came and said, for $10 million, would you look at seeding hair follicles and sweat glands for another $10 million? And then would you look at tattooing or putting melanin for different ethnicities of our soldiers? This soybean, this plant-based product goes into your body and helps your body regenerate itself so you come out the way you came in and you have hair follicles and sweat glands. I'm offering what they said they needed. My last life, I don't know. I do know we're writing up a material transfer agreement right now with Brooke Army Medical, and I can't promise, but I know we're writing it right at this present.
I just want to mention this is an area where, you know, with the government, it's very important for you to know and the connection you have and how you get into it. So there are some consultants that might be worth talking to that can open doors for you.
I'm all there. Because obviously, you know, the way we got into last time, I don't know those people anymore. I was manufacturing that skin that was unavailable and unaffordable at Lonza, and now I'm in Temple building myself.
So we got time for one question from the panel and one from the audience.
Yeah, Do you believe that your activity is due just to the scaffolding of the spray-on material, or is there some bioactive component that is actually acting more or less as a pharmaceutical?
There's a bioactive component that we will not talk about for a 510K, because as soon as we say that, we have to do a full PMA. But we will get on the market and then expose the bioactivity that one of my PhD students published already. And anyone under confidentiality can see that data, that it did have bioactivity. It did regenerate and revascularize a little bit. But it's a real fast approval for 510K and revenue so that we can do that.
Joe, is
Yes.
this a class 2 medical
Class
device?
2.
And if so, what's the predicate? And what clinical data do you plan to submit with the 510K in patients to support the application?
Fabulous question. We are going to pick the NeuEsse head-to-head clinical trial, which has already been published. Our advisors want us to do another trial comparing it to Integra. There's no other plant that can do this. So I guess any predicate device, which is an inclusive dressing, and we've already done that data that they said they would accept. We've talked to the FDA already.
Great. All right, one last question.
How do you compare the effectiveness of your product against fish skin?
No.
And would you consider providing data on that front, or would you only compare?
I would love to go against them because a fish skin is only going to be an inclusive dressing. They're going to cover the wound, they're going to keep it moist, and it's going to be very effective. My guru, David Armstrong, was paid and presented a lot of data on fish skin at the SAWC this year in San Antonio, but they don't have any regenerative properties. It's an inclusive dressing.
Great. Well, let's hear it for our entrepreneurs.